I'm just not motivated. How do you expect me to do anything after a day of driving? I'm exhausted. I don't have the time. These are some of the things that I've heard people say on the reasons why they don't exercise, why they haven't incorporated moving daily into their life. In today's session, I want to talk about the reasons why I believe that every person should. Hey everyone, my name's TracySteen of Move Daily Fitness, and today we're going to talk about the criticalness, the importance of having a profound reason for moving daily. I want to start by telling you a story of one of my clients. She was very fit, very healthy, practiced good fitness, wellness, and nutrition. She's a baby doctor, so she decided one day to open her own clinic. So all of her healthy practices soon got pushed to the wayside as she began building this big clinic, hiring doctors, midwives, nurses, training them, and building this big business. It was hard for me to watch her go from being someone who was really fit and active, who focused on health, to being someone who kind of put it on the back burner and maybe did it once a week. I would train her still once a week, so it would come there. She was actually my only client who would work out in bare feet. One day I looked down at her foot and saw this black spot. I said, "Hey, what's going on right there?" And she said, "Well, you know, it's probably cancer, but I literally don't have time to deal with it." Which made me go, isn't that like really critical? And shouldn't you get that looked at? I mean, you are a doctor. And she knew that it was going to take time and energy away from what she was doing, so she put it off. Weeks went by, months went by, and the spot began to grow. I said to her, "You need to get that checked out." She said, I know, and I would hear her husband in the background saying, "I keep telling her, but she's not listening." One day she said, "You know what, my oncologist, a friend of mine, is going to come and do a little home visit and we'll get it checked out." Well, long story short is that it was stage 4 melanoma, and not only that, it had gone all the way up into her lymph nodes. See, the thing is, your health is like a glass ball. If you don't take care of that part of you, if you drop that ball, guess what happens? There's very few opportunities to pick that ball back up, as it will smash on the ground. Other things in our lives are rubber balls. They can bounce back up if they're dropped. Sometimes that's our career or our responsibilities, maybe the carpool, maybe some relationships. But our health is one that's a glass ball, and if it drops, you can't pick that back up. So in today's talk, I want to speak to you about the criticalness of moving daily. And it doesn't have to be much. Sometimes we have this mindset that you have to work out for an hour a day in order to get the benefits. But even a good stiff walk will help the body know that it's springtime. My sisters are both gardeners. They love their gardens. Every time I go to their house, they want to share their gardens with me. I'm not much of a green thumb at all. And so it was a big surprise to my husband when I purchased a basil plant this last summer. I love basil, I like cooking with it. The problem is that when I left for a week vacation, I forgot to get anyone to water the plant. When I came back, the plant was completely dead. And I'm like, of course I killed another plant. But I ran into the house, I grabbed a pitcher of water, poured it on, and lo and behold, the next day that basil plant sprang back to life. It just needed me to attend to it. Your bodies are the same. Yes, you might spend a long period of time every single day driving in a truck in that sedentary position. Being sedentary and have a sedentary life leads to a lack of circulation. That lack of circulation can lead to disease and decay and inflammation. So the key thing we need to do is to increase circulation by moving our bodies daily. Now again, it doesn't have to be much, and I'm going to show you in the upcoming segment how you can move your body, how you can incorporate things like stretches, some cardiovascular exercises, and maybe even a walk to get the blood flowing and to get the heart rate up. So many of us start exercise programs with really great intentions. We feel motivated in the moment. You know, maybe we've had a checkup with the doctor and something has not been quite right. Maybe our numbers aren't quite right, and the doctor's encouraged us to get active. Well, that's all well and good to have that motivation, but sometimes weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and we lose the motivation to continue moving. Part of what I help my clients do is find that internal guttural motivation by discovering what their profound reason for moving daily is. Let me tell you a story of one of my clients' mothers. She was 70 years old when she took a tumble in her bathroom. She was reaching down to pick something up from the bottom of the shower. She wasn't even showering, but she slipped and fell. Now, she wasn't hurt at all, and so she tried to stand up into a standing position, but she couldn't. This woman had never exercised a day in her life. She had that dowager's hump on her back. She was all rounded, incredibly fragile. So she started to crawl out of the shower. She tried to stand up on the side of the bathroom cabinet. She couldn't. So she crawled over to her bedside table. Again, she put her hands up on the side of the bed, tried to stand up, and did not have the strength in her legs or her arms to stand. Eventually, she tried calling her kids, grabbed the phone from the bedside table, no one answered, so she ended up calling 911. The ambulance came, and all they needed to do was help this woman stand up because she could not do that on her own. And her daughter, who was my client, said to me, "Tracy, that will never be me. How do I move daily? How do I exercise in a way that I can build strength so that I'm not as fragile as she was?" Observing her mother take that fall really encouraged my client to dig deep and figure out her reasons for wanting to move daily. She knew she didn't want to be fragile. She knew she wanted to be able to golf and ride her bike and play with her grandkids. She knew she wanted to live long. So when she asked me, what do I need to do in order to get strong and take care of myself? And a couple of the things that we talked about were increasing cardiovascular exercise. When we do that, when we get the heart rate up again, it decreases inflammation in our body. It increases our heart health. It helps increase our brain-derived neurotrophic factor, also known as BDNF. BDNF is a chemical that's produced in the hypothalamus region of the brain, and basically it helps stave off things like Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, and anxiety. Then we talked about doing things like resistance training, which is critical for increasing our bone density. And again, it doesn't have to be much, but bearing weight on your ligaments and joints and ensuring that that bone density doesn't deplete as you age. We also talked about things like increasing her walking so that it reduces cortisol levels. Lots of times our jobs are high stress. And when we have high stressful situations, our body releases those hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and all of that can increase our belly fat and increase inflammation internally. So when we do things like walk, it begins to reduce those cortisol levels and those stress levels. That's a critical part to staying healthy as you age. We also talk about things like incorporating stretching and mindful attention to the body. In this next segment here, I'm going to show you a few stretches that you can do maybe while you're at your desk. Again, while you're at your home office. A lot of us are in home offices right now. But these are things that you can do, again, so that you improve your posture, improve your lung capacity, and be mindfully attending to the body. At the end of the day, I always want you to think about this little phrase. What have I done to move daily? Did I do anything to get my heart rate up? Did I do anything to stretch and lengthen through my ligaments and joints, to improve my posture? What have I done to increase my health? Remember, nothing's benign. Everything that you do is either leading you down the road to ill health or down the road to better health. And of course, you don't have to be perfect in it, but we want to do these things 70 to 80% of the time so that, even if you take 4 steps forward, 2 steps sideways, 1 step back, you're still moving forward down the road to better health. So my encouragement for all of you is to think about that. What have I done to move my body today? And if you can do something every single day, not only are you going to benefit your body, you'll benefit your mind and your soul as well. Thanks for joining me on this little segment today. As always, go move daily in your fitness, wellness, and nutrition.